Lamentations, or Aka, chapter 3. I don't know if any of these are abbreviated, but I am the man that hath seen affliction by the rod of his wrath. He hath led me and brought me into darkness, but not into light. Well, what path do you choose, right? Ascent or descent? Surely against me is he turned. He turneth his hand against me all the day. My flesh and my skin hath he made old. He hath broken my bones. He hath builded against me, encompassed me with gall and travail. He hath set me in dark places, as they that be dead of old. He hath hedged me about, that I cannot get out. He hath made my chain heavy. Also, when I cry and shout, he shutteth out my prayer. He hath enclosed my ways with hewn stone. He hath made my paths crooked. He was unto me as a bear lying in wait, and as a lion in secret places. He hath turned aside my ways and pulled me in pieces. He hath made me desolate. He hath bent his bow and set me as a mark for the arrow. He hath caused the arrows of his quiver to enter into my reins. I was a derision to all my people, and their song all the day. He hath filled me with bitterness. He hath made me drunken with wormwood. A lot of people like to get drunk with wormwood, apparently. I mean, literally, there is a different effect with it, but when you're drinking a 40, whatever you're mixing with it is probably not as drastic as people think. He hath also broken my teeth with gravel stones. He hath covered me with ashes. And no, I'm not recommending using intoxicants, except for survival. And thou hast removed my soul far off from peace. I forgot prosperity. And I said, my strength and my hope is perished from God as a noun and verb, remembering mine affliction and my misery, the wormwood and the gall. My soul hath them still in remembrance, and is humbled in me. This I recall to my mind. Therefore have I hope. It is of God as a noun and verbs mercies, that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. God as a noun and verb is my portion. Saith my soul, therefore will I hope in him. God as a noun and verb is good unto them that wait for him, to the soul that seeketh him. It is good that a man should both hope and quietly wait for the salvation of God as a noun and verb. It is good for a man that he bear the yoke in his youth. He sitteth alone and keepeth silence, because he hath borne it upon him. He putteth his mouth in the dust, if so be there may be hope. He giveth his cheek to him that smiteth him. He is filled full with reproach. For God as a noun and verb will not cast off forever, but though he cause grief, yet will he have compassion according to the multitude of his mercies. For he doth not afflict willingly, nor grieve the children of men. Well, sometimes we're given opportunity, so what are we going to earn, right? In my country, there's a lot of talk about people who perform as well shouldn't, people who perform as well. Okay, that's one thing. But people who perform better, why can't they get more than they need when other people aren't without? To crush under his feet all the prisoners of the earth, to turn aside the right of a man before the face of the Most High, to subvert a man in his cause. God as noun and verb approveth not. Who is he that saith, and it come to pass, when God as a noun and verb command it not? Out of the mouth of the Most High proceedeth not evil and good. Wherefore doth a living man complain, a man for the punishment of his sins? Let us search and try our ways, and turn again to God as a noun and verb. Let us lift up our heart with our hands unto God as a noun and verb in the heavens. We have transgressed and have rebelled. Thou hast not pardoned. Thou hast covered with anger, and persecuted us. Thou hast slain, thou hast not pitied. Thou hast covered thyself with a cloud, that our prayer should not pass through. Thou hast made us as the offscouring and refuse in the middle of the people. Oh, in the midst of the people. Okay. All our enemies have opened their mouths against us. Fear and a snare is come upon us. Desolation and destruction. Mine eye runneth down with rivers of water for the destruction of the daughter of my people. Remember that saying about Muhammad that's, I'd had my own daughter cut for the same crimes that other people would be cut for if she committed them. So, yeah, you don't, who people descend from, you don't excuse bad behavior. And of course, none of that had been done, but, mine eye trickleth down and ceaseth not without any intermission, till God as noun and verb look down and behold from heaven. Mine eye, mine enemies. Mine eye afflicteth mine heart because of all the daughters of my city. Mine enemies chased me sore like a bird without cause. They have cut off my life in the dungeon and cast a stone upon me. Waters flowed over mine head. Then I said, I am cut off. I called upon thy name, God as noun and verb, out of the low dungeon. Thou hast heard my voice. Hide not thine ear at my breathing, at my cry. Thou drewest near in the day that I called upon thee. Thou saidst, fear not. God as noun and verb, thou hast pleaded the causes of my soul. Thou hast redeemed my life. O God as noun and verb, thou hast seen my wrong. Judge thou my cause. Thou hast seen all their vengeance and all their imaginings against me. Thou hast heard their reproach, O God as noun and verb, and all their imaginations against me. I've heard some of this stuff myself, is that, people aren't witnesses to things, but they've had a dream, so therefore you must be a criminal. Or they have feelings. Their feelings don't agree with you, so therefore people accusing you of even death penalty level crimes just because of some, the lips of those that rose up against me, and their device against me all the day. Behold, they're sitting down, and they're rising up. I am their music. The best music is the scripture, if you're familiar with revealed, or a lot of what contains revealed. The sound of it is just, this too is a lot better in Aramaic than it is in English. Render unto them a recompense, God as noun and verb, according to the work of their hands. Give them sorrow of heart, and curse unto them. Persecute and destroy them in anger from under the heavens of God as noun and verb. And chapter 4, and there's a lot of insight to meaning that I don't really have for this chapter of anything that I can think of. This book, the Book of Lamentations. How is the gold become dim? How is the most fine gold changed? The stones of the sanctuary are poured out in the top of every street. The precious sons of Zion, comparable to fine gold, how are they esteemed as earthen pitchers, the work of the hands of the potter. Even the sea monsters draw out the breast. They give suck to their young ones. The daughter of my people is become cruel, like the ostriches in the wilderness. The tongue of the sucking child cleaveth to the roof of his mouth for thirst. The young children axe bread, and no man breaketh it unto them. They that did feed delicately are desolate in the streets. They that were brought up in scarlet embrace dunghills. For the punishment of the iniquity of the daughter of my people is greater than the punishment of the sin of Sodom. That was overthrown as in a moment, and no hand stayed on her. Her Nazarites were purer than snow. They were whiter than milk. They were more ruddy in body than rubies. Their polishing was of sapphire. Their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth through their bones. It is withered. It is become like a stick. They that be slain with the sword are better than they that be slain with hunger. For these pine away, stricken through for want of the fruits of the field. The hands of the pitiful women have sodden their own children. They were their meat in the destruction of the daughter of my people. Well, nowadays we have drug addicts that get confused and may even cook or whatnot their own child. More often it's just they become so desperate they're willing to sell their child. God as noun and verb hath accomplished his fury. He hath poured out his fierce anger, and hath kindled a fire in Sion, and it hath devoured the foundations thereof. The kings of the earth and all the inhabitants of the world would not have believed that the adversary and the enemy should have entered into the gates of Jerusalem. For the sins of her prophets, the false prophets, and the iniquities of her priests. Is it the access controlling priests that we're looking at there? That have shed the blood of the just in the midst of her. They have wandered as blind men in the streets. They have polluted themselves with blood, so that men could not touch their garments. They cried unto them, Depart ye, it is unclean, depart, depart, touch not. When they fled away and wandered, they said among those who turned their back on God, They shall no more sojourn there. The anger of God as noun and verb hath divided them. He will no more regard them. They respected not the persons of the priests. They favored not the elders. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching we have watched for a nation that could not save us. They hunt our steps, that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. Our persecutors are swifter than eagles of the heaven. They pursued us upon the mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness. The breach of our nostrils, anointed of God as a noun and verb, was taken in their pits, of whom we said, Under his shadow we shall live among those who turn their backs on God. Heathen, pagan, I don't really think there's words like that in what they call the Old Testament, but rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee, thou shalt be drunken, and shalt make thyself naked. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. 5. Remember, God as noun and verb, what has come upon us. Consider and behold our reproach. Our inheritance is turned to strangers, our houses to aliens. Foreigners. We are orphans and fatherless. Our mothers are as widows. We have drunken our water for money. Our wood is sold unto us. Our necks are under persecution. We labor and have no rest. We have given the hand to the Egyptians and to the Assyrians to be satisfied with bread. Our fathers have sinned and are not, and we have borne their iniquities. Servants have ruled over us. There is none that doth deliver us out of their hand. We got our bread with the peril of our lives because of the sword of the wilderness. Our skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine. They ravished the women in Sion and the maids in the cities of Yehuda. Princes are hanged up by their hand. The faces of elders were not honored. They took the young men to grind, to turn the big grindstones. And the children fell under the wood. The elders have ceased from the gate, the young men from their music. The joy of our heart is ceased, our dance is turned into mourning. The crown is fallen from our head. Woe unto us that we have sinned, for this our heart is faint. For these things our eyes are dim because of the mountains of Thune, which is desolate. The foxes walk upon it. Thou, God as a noun and verb, remainest forever. Thy throne from generation to generation. Wherefore dost thou forget us forever, and forsake us so long time? Turn thou us unto thee, God as a noun and verb, and we shall be turned. Renew our days as of old, but thou hast utterly rejected us. Thou art very wroth against us. Now, if people can make the choice to turn back, we're not going to be in such issues. But we have to work to change the conditions for ourselves, don't we?